good joke. This joke will have you rolling. It's funny. The joke is, a three-legged dog walks into a bar. He says, "I'm here for the man who shot my paw."
This guy walks into a bar. He says, "Ow, watch where you're going."
Two Irishmen walk out of a bar. It could happen.
What's brown and sticky? A stick.
Don't shake the tree when the fruit ain't ripe.
Did you hear that George Bush was asked about his opinion on Roe versus Wade, and he said, "Wherever those people want to get out of New Orleans is fine with me."
I was reading the news the other day and I heard about George Bush is being briefed by Donald Rumsfeld, and so it's a fairly lengthy brief. But at the end of it, Donald Rumsfeld mentions, and oh, by the way, 3 Brazilian soldiers were killed the other day. And George Bush goes, "What? Oh my God, that's terrible!" His head's in his hands. He has to think for a moment. And all the office staff around him are so surprised. It's like, how come George Bush is so moved? What's going on here? But eventually, he looks up and says, "We're going to have to address the nation. Can you prepare a speech?" Donald Rumsfeld says, "Yeah, I'll prepare a speech." So in 2 hours, there's a speech ready. It's not that long, and George Bush grabs it, reads it, and then he's about to go on and talk to the nation on live TV, and he goes, "Oh yeah, Don, can you tell me exactly how many is a Brazilian?"
The panda walks into a bar, and he sits down and he orders food, and he eats his meal, and then he proceeds to shoot a gun in the air, and then he leaves. And the bartender's like, wait, like everybody's freaking out, The bartender's like, "Panda, you can't leave now. Why did you do that?" And he's like, "Just look it up in the dictionary." So the bartender looks up panda in the dictionary. Says, "Eats, shoots, and leaves."
Well, before I talk about a joke, I wanted to know if any of you guys had heard about this new pirate movie that's coming out. You hadn't heard about it?
No.
I don't know what it's called, but I know what it's rated.
No.
It's rated R.
I see. Did you hear about the horse that walked into the bar? Bartender said, "Hey, why the long face?"
This is a joke that I grew up on. We'd be sitting around the table, and I didn't like my broccoli. And I especially didn't like the stalk of the broccoli. I would just eat the little blossom. And the joke was, a man walks into a bar and asks for a martini, and he gets a martini, and he eats the olive, and then he takes the glass and he bites off the top of the glass and asks for another martini. And the bartender gives it to him, and he does the same thing. Goes on a few more times. Finally, the man looks at the bartender and says, "You think I'm crazy, don't you?" And the bartender says, "I know you're crazy. The stems are the best part." End of joke.
And I wanted to tell you a thing that Woody Allen said. Years ago, my mother gave me a bullet, and I put it in my breast pocket. When a year later, a crazed evangelist heaved a Gideon Bible out of a hotel room window, I was walking on the street and it struck me in the chest. The Bible would have gone through my heart if it wasn't for the bullet.
This guy is going to the Holy Land, to Israel, with his mother-in-law and his wife, which is kind of a nightmare of a trip to begin with, if you think about it. But it's been his mother-in-law's dream to go to Mecca, and to be in the Holy Land. It's just been her dream her entire life. So they go on this trip, and they get there, and they're visiting various famous areas, and the mother drops dead all of a sudden. She kicks the bucket. And through their grief, they decide that they will actually bury her there because it was her dream to go there, and she feels like she finally got home, And so the wife is just beside herself with grief, so the husband has to make the arrangements for his mother-in-law. And so he's talking to the holy person about burying her. And the guy says, well, for $100 you can get, just a regular burial, and it'll be a nice ceremony, and you can get this casket right here, and this is what it'll be. But for $1,000 you can get the Second Coming special, and it'll be the deluxe casket, and there's a good chance she'll return, because after all, this is the Holy Land. And the guy says, what, are you kidding? No way, give me the $100 one. I'm not taking any chances.
Hey, knock knock.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
No, you say knock knock.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
I don't know.
That's it.
Life's a joke.
I will destroy all the universe! Ah, 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 ah. What the? No. Ah.
Of course, the old, hear about the new pirate movie that's coming out. It's rated R.
Guy commits a crime and he's sent to prison for life. When he gets in there, it's maximum security prison. And he's sitting down at lunch, and they go through the aisle, and he hears this inmate yell out, 63! And everybody starts cracking up. And he's like, that's okay, whatever. And it keeps happening. 14! Everybody will start laughing. 121! The whole place roars. And he can't quite figure out what's going on. So he finally gets the courage up to ask somebody in the line when they're going through, what's up with this yelling out numbers and people laughing. He's like, oh, there's this joke book we have. And we've heard these jokes over and over and over again, so we've memorized them. We have them numbered. And so when somebody says 14, we know it's this joke, and So you can take a look at it. Here's the book, So he studies. He wants to be part of the crew here, so he studies the book. He goes through it, and he's got them all memorized. And he decides, he's going to try this. So he picks one, and he yells out, 54! And nobody laughs. And so he's, a little worried. So he, looks back at the book and he picks another one, one that he thinks is really funny, and he says, 14, and nobody laughs. So he asks his buddy, what's going on? And he says, oh, it's all in the way you tell it.
Sure, I got another. I got a million of them. What did the frog that lives by the factory say? He said, rivet, rivet. Check this out. What did the dog that lived by the sea say? He said, wharf, wharf.
So there's a duck. The duck's in a bar. The duck always comes into the bar and orders a beer and asks for, sour cherries. He likes sour cherries. And the bartender always gives him the beer and says, look, we don't have sour cherries. So the duck says fine. He drinks his beer, goes home. The next day he comes back, he orders his beer, he's drinking, he says, hey, you got any sour cherries? The bartender says, no, we never do. Stop asking. Third day, same thing. He drinks the beer, asks for the sour cherries. Finally, the bartender's getting really mad. He says, look, you're really pissing me off, okay? I like you, but, if you ask me for that anymore, it's going to be trouble. The fourth day, he comes in, drinks the beer, waits a minute. Right moment, he says, hey, you got any sour cherries? The bartender says, that's it. All right, I'm going to bash your brains out with a hammer if you say that one more time. So he says, all right, drinks his beer, goes home. Finally comes in another day, drinks the beer. He looks at the bartender and says, you got a hammer? The bartender says, no. He says, you got any dried cherries? Sour cherries. It's a bad joke, but you did ask. That's all.
Thanks, Eric.
What did one shrimp say to the other shrimp when it was taking too much food?
I don't know.
Don't be shellfish.
Okay, so did you hear about what the hypochondriac put on her gravestone after she died of sickness. I told you so.
A horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Why the long face?"
Two peanuts were walking home from the bar late at night. One was assaulted.
A chicken walks into a library and he says, "Book!" And the librarian says, "Book? Okay, here's the book." The chicken takes the book, he leaves the library, he goes over hills, he goes into the river, he leaves, and the librarian's like, "Where'd he go?" Well, maybe he'll probably come back because he'll want another book. Sure enough, the chicken comes back to the library, and he says, "Book, book!" And the librarian says, "Oh, well, he returned the old book, so I'll give him 2 new books." So he gave him 2 new books, and the chicken left the library. So then the chicken came back again, and he said, "Book, book, book!" And the librarian said, "Oh, okay, 3 books, okay, you guys take this." But he comes back to the library 4th time, and the librarian was thinking, "That is so weird. I better follow this chicken." So when the chicken goes, "Book, book, 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 book," he gives him 4 books, and he follows them out of the library without letting the chicken see. The chicken goes over all the hills and the mountains, and he comes to a lake. And he bends down next to the lake, and there's this frog, and it's sitting there, and it comes up, and the chicken has the book in its beak, and it's giving the book to the frog, and the frog says, "Read it, read it."
This guy went to the barber to get a haircut, and so he sat in the chair, and the barber said, "Okay, how do you want it today?" The guy said, "Well, I want it to be long on the top and kind of short but uneven on this side and okay on this side, and just, you know, kind of short here and long here and a little bit in the middle on the back." And the barber looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? I can't do that." The guy says, "Sure you can. That's what you did last time I was here."